Hi, Richard Roberts here for the Village of Venetia. Haven't seen you for a while. I think maybe right before Christmas was probably our last show or something that we did back in the spring. But this is the summer edition of Village of Venetia, so thanks for tuning in. And keep you of all the events going on in our part of the county, part of the township. If you want a little break from maybe the busyness, the construction, the dust, the noise of this half of Peters Township, up near where the high school is, come down to the Village of Venetia. And it's quieter there, a slower pace. Come sit on the front porch of the country store that's newly remodeled as of last year, and it can actually sit on a little tailgate of a truck there. It's part of the benches right on the front, and enjoy a breakfast there. But let me warn you, Saturdays at the country store, you can't get in the place. There's actually literally a line out the door. The parking lot, they're parking all over the road. They've hired a regular cook down there for the breakfast hours, I think Tuesday through Saturday. So if you, it's just a great gathering spot in our part of the village down there. It's always a beautiful day in the neighborhood down in the Village of Venetia. That's a kind of a quote from Mr. Rogers. He's been an idol of mine for a long time. That's why we do these TV programs like Village of Venetia. Had a chance to go to a workshop about actually the theology behind the work of Mr. Rogers a month ago. Hedda Sharpton, or Sharapan, started with Mr. Rogers back in 1965 in the child development program over at Pitt. They were both students over there together. And so she was giving this presentation on how they work together. And he encouraged her to take child development classes at the University of Pittsburgh back in the early 1960s. Fred at that time was just an intern at WQED. He was actually on another show called, Children's Corner from 1959 to 1962, but thought they could do more than just what they were doing with that program. So again, started at Pitt in child development, got some folks to come alongside him, and in 1966 got some airtime on WQED. Actually, they filmed at night for the first couple of years because they had zero budget. He was going to school during the day and filming at night. But just what a breath of fresh air, and gosh, a revolution that was for Mr. Rogers. Maybe we take it for granted in this day and time. But in 1966, it was an incredible beginning to just some great children's programming. And one of his goals of that show was, what do children bring to us? As adults, what can children bring to us every day in our life? Maybe it's, just the childlike nature of wonder and amazement, of joy. How do children deal with disappointment? Even children dealing with grief and separation and transition. And so Ms. Sharapan was giving us the clues to what Fred Rogers was all about. It looked very simple on the screen, but it was very, very deep, although that's what he said, that our lives are very, very deep and filled with, can be filled with great joy and great love and compassion, but most of the time we live in the shadows. And so anyway, that was kind of like a premise that we use in the programming there at Rights United Methodist Church, where I pastor right in Venetia. So we invite you to come down there every time the doors are open, especially on Sundays at 9:30. But you never know what folks are feeling until you share, and so his program was all about sharing. If you watch King Friday and Lady Elaine and all the characters, Fred Rogers was behind most of them and the voices of many of them. May 23rd of 2019 was 143 Day in Pennsylvania, initiated by our governor. And what 143 meant for us as humanity is that was a slogan of Mr. Rogers, which meant I love you. I, 1, 4 letters, love, and then you, 143 Day. And so it was also his weight. Fred Rogers always wanted to stay around 143 pounds, and he did most of the time. But anyway, what a great model that we have for living and for raising our children. So much of that is echoed in what we have going on in Peters Township through the school system of Rachel's Challenge. We're proud to be a part of that and watch my kids as students of Peters Township be kind of included in Rachel's Challenge. 5 goals. It depends if you're at the elementary level or at the junior high or the senior high level. But very quickly, those 5 goals are just very inclusive. And one is influence, that the influence, whether good or bad, has great power. How can you be an influence for better? Second thing is goal setting. Rachel encouraged folks to dream big. And that's, the bigger, it's your big, make it your dream, make it as big as you want. And journal, write down these goals and dreams and thoughts and emotions so you can reflect on them later on and maybe learn something from an experience you had from setting goals. And maybe you can adjust those goals and yet you can dream even bigger. Another one is acceptance, compassion, inclusion, and kindness. Simple, delivering acts of kindness. If we did more and more of that, we'd have possibly that neighborhood of make-believe that Mr. Rogers had with the trolley running through it and King Friday. But that neighborhood of make-believe can actually be our reality when we practice those very simple goals of compassion and kindness and courage and inclusion and love, 1, 4, 3. Like Mr. Rogers would say. Let me give you a little bit of rundown of the summer in the village that we have. We do want to honor one of our own 6th graders from the village of Venetia. We were at the 6th grade presentation yesterday at McMurray. And Caroline Roberts won an Outstanding Achievement Award for just being a good student. One of 2 students there that was honored in that way from the 6th grade. And she's been practicing Rachel Challenge goals, the theology of Mr. Rogers. Although she's an 11-year-old in our very household and has moments that we're all challenged by, we appreciate her work and then her outstanding achievement in 6th grade at McMurray. Our brown bag concerts are starting in June the 5th. We've been doing that for 5 years, live music right in the village of Venetia. Up until last year, we did it right on the front steps of historic Rice Church, underneath the beautiful catawba trees there, planted by Peter, which Peters Creek. We get our name from that, Peters Township. The legend has it he was an Indian guide, Native American, that helped our early settlers here in this part of the township, this part of Virginia at that time. But on June the 5th, the Dempseytown Ramblers will give you live bluegrass. And so that's an exciting. Come out and be a part of that. On June the 12th, the cast of the Children of Eden. That's the Abbey Players from up at St. Benedict's. Have a great, wonderful musical troupe up there of actors and musicians and youth and children ages. And they'll be giving the concert version of the Children of Eden. That's noon on June the 12th, right down at historic Rice Church. On the 19th, Julie Wright is there. No relation to Wright from Wright's Church, but she's a wonderful composer and a performer. She's part of the exceptional staff of Kathy's Music, which is also right here in McMurray, one of the offices. And on the 26th, Jamie Wright will be with us. Go to his website. Just put JamieWright, .org in there. He's an incredible guitarist, vocalist, can sing popular songs. My favorite are the Italian songs that he sings, legendary performance, like an American songbook. He brings to life songs of Louis Prima, Frank Sinatra, and Tony Bennett, which, by the way, if you had a chance to go May 12th to the Packard Music Hall in Warren, Ohio, I was out there to celebrate an anniversary. 92 years old, Tony Bennett took that stage, sang for an hour and a half. It was incredible. It sounded just like he did back in the 1950s. To be able to perform and to sing, and even to stand for 90 minutes, for goodness sake, on stage with a quartet, a jazz quartet a lot of those songs Jamie will do for us on the 26th of June at Wright's Church. Again, a $5 lunch. If you can, call the church ahead of time and let us know you're coming. We'll make extra special preparations for you. The number there is 724-348-5718, and maybe they'll get a chance to put that on the screen when they do the editing here. I didn't get a chance to send numbers over ahead of time. Call and just to make sure that we have enough. Sometimes there's 15 people there, sometimes there's 50, and we want to make accommodations for you to be with us. In July, we haven't have all the performers down yet for the month of July for our noontime concerts at Historic Wright's Church. We do know on July the 10th that some of the musical students from Kathy's Music, that's right here, one of the studios right here in McMurray, will be there in a recital. So you can come and enjoy students from lots of different ages. You know, I think from 6 years old, on up to folks in high school, and come enjoy them, have a lunch, and just enjoy the village right down there where we're at. Historic Wright's Church is part of the village, which also includes the Venetia Heritage Society, which is in the old Venetia School. It goes back to like 1922, I think they built that building. If you come to the village, which is about 2 blocks long, you start really at the country store, and then as you travel towards Finleyville, you pass Historic Wright's Church, you pass the Parsons House there, and then you come to the old Venetia School, the Heritage Society. That's a great organization that I also am pleased to be a part of. On the top floor of that school is the Dare Train Society, the Dare Model Train Display organization, run by Peters Township Police Department and also dedicated volunteers. They'll be there. They're there every week during the year, and in the summertime they adjust their hours. I think they begin sometime around noon on Wednesdays. You may want to check that out. Go to the Dare website and look up for the Dare Train Model Train Association there, right there in Venetia. But they have the whole top floor, and from platforms with landscapes on it and trains, all different gauges. It's students and adults come together to work on that, and it's just a wonderful part of the Heritage Society there. Also included in that building is the Peters Township Rowing Club. If they're not in the building, which are normally not in the summertime because they're down at the river. If you go down the Allegheny River, I was just there 3 weeks ago going across Washington's crossing. I think might be called the 40th Street Bridge. And looked to my left, and there they were. There was the Peters Township Rowing Association. These guys are out in the scull boats and making tracks coming down the river, and it's just wonderful to see that. But that's what the rowing club is all about, and that's one of the organizations housed in the Heritage Society. Also on that floor are the Girl Scouts. A couple different troops meet there, anywhere from Brownies to Senior Girl Scouts and everywhere in between. They meet there. That's a great organization to be a part of too. I can't say enough good things about the good qualities that we can instill in our young people for tomorrow through scouting, whether it's through the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts. Daisy troops meet in our village also. Again, that's the smaller ones, up to Brownies, up to Senior Cadets, and on up the Lifetime Achievers. And it's just a wonderful organization. And they're part of the Heritage Society housed inside our building. On the main floor, when you come in, if you come in from the parking lot, are the twice a month the Venetia senior citizens meet there with a wonderful lunch and normally a great program too. When I'm in the village on Thursdays, second and fourth Thursdays, I have a chance to share a meal with them and some conversation, and it's always a great time to be there. So if you're over the age of 55 and you're looking for a wonderful conversation and it's a great meal and fellowship, the second and fourth Thursday, you're riding in the village just to come enjoy the beauty there. Stop in at the Venetia Community Center right there and have a meal with us. on Thursdays. They would be glad to see you. We just received a donation from the Peters Township Rotary Club, and can't miss them in their donations because the Venetia Heritage Society it's a nonprofit organization, 501c, and we're always looking for donations to keep that building open to the community. You can also get in touch with us if you need a space for a birthday party or an anniversary or just a room to kind of get together. Contact the Venetia Heritage Society, and they can get back to you as to, we have a few spaces that we do rent out there, but we do want to keep the building going, and so we're thankful for every gift, and also if you'd like to be a part of that board, we're looking for some hardworking individuals that want to come and keep us going into the future of the Heritage Society. The building that I haven't mentioned yet in our little village is the Wright House. That is very historic. It goes back, the log cabin behind the Wright House that sits right on the road, that goes back for 200 years. Right behind that goes back to 1762, is the original log cabin, a facsimile of that log cabin of Jacob and Joseph Wright that came up from Harrisonburg, Virginia back in 1762. Saw the landscapes and loved it so much that they built a little log cabin there when it was still the state of Virginia. And then we moved on to be Pennsylvania in Peters Township, but the cabin remains. And then in front of that is a home that they built for their families as they began to raise families. And then from there, from the Wright House there, came Wright's Church back in, I think it's 1836, I think. The original church was built, or 1824 perhaps, and then that church, actually there was recorded of an earthquake here in Venetia back in 1830, and it destroyed the original church, and in 1922 the building that's there now was built. But I know folks have asked me, well, when is the Wright House open? Because there's a lot of cool things in there. There's a museum, of coal mining museum, which coal was very much a part of Hackett, very much a part of the Venetia. The coal mills or the coal mines that were right there within sight of our church and the house were many. And that's what kind of perpetuated and built this part of western Pennsylvania. But that's part of the artifacts on the inside of the Wright House. We've got 2 dates that we are going to be open in the month of June. June 9th, which is a Sunday from 2 to 4. There is no real charge for admission, but invite you to come and come to the Wright House and get a tour from one of the docents there. Betty Amato will probably be there on the 9th and take you up a tour of that, and perhaps maybe you can even see in the log cabin in the back. And also Tuesday, June the 21st, Len and Donna Marcini will be there from 6 to 8 in the evening. And the website for that is Peters Creek Historical Society.org. And go to that website and look for current events, and it'll tell you when the Wright House is open. It's right there on the road. You go past it, and you never can tell if it's open or not. There's 2 times in June. And if you've never been, I think at one time, maybe 5th grade or 6th grade, it was part of the curriculum here at Peters Township. They used to do a camp out there over Memorial Day. A couple of the teachers got together and would have an encampment of what it was like to be in Civil War days with canvas tents and canvas bags to lay on and cooking over an open fire. But they're not able to do that anymore. But that all happens that used to happen right there at the Wright House. So it's a very historic part of Peters Township. If you've never been, I encourage you to come out. There's Peters Township Little League Baseball is played, in the summertime, almost every night of the week out there in the village, which is right behind the school there at the Heritage Society, the community center. If you come to the ball field on Memorial Day, that Saturday, they had a great festival there, a great tournament, and tournaments are staged all throughout the summer for the teams that play there. And it's just a fun time. They have I live so close to that. We like to ride our bikes in the parking lot there. My own children like to go to the snack shop there and hang out and just have fun there in the village of Venetia. So I invite you to come out to be a part of that. Whether it's baseball or the concerts on Wednesday at noon in the summertime and during the months of June and July, whether it's the train club on Wednesdays also. Come and just stop in on the third floor of the Venetia Community Center there, run by the Heritage Society, and see what's going on there. Take a tour of the building. Or those 2 times in June 9th and June 21st, come to the Wright House. Again, that goes back to Victorian age. You'll be walking into the Museum of Western Expansion. Very historic. One of the first museums, I think, west of the Allegheny Mountains that talked about Western expansion. What was it? What was so prominent here in Peters Township that caused folks to settle here? Joshua and Jacob Wright wrote in their journal, one of the things that brought them to this place is when they were first here, the coal that was laying so close to the ground, and of course they ended up strip mining so much of it, but lightning would strike the ground and the whole ground would catch on fire because the coal was sitting right there. And that's what made energy so easily given for them. They could fuel their home there. They could power later on steam locomotives and steam engines to pump water. So lots of history going on right there in the historic village of Venetia. I invite you to come down sometime this summer and stop at the country store. Tell them you heard it on this television program, and talk to Carter there, and said that the pastor's been giving you good recommendations. They have a great breakfast eggs Benedict there that is to die for. But again, plan some time to come in there. If Saturdays, if you're looking for a Saturday, it's a lot of times standing room only, which is a wonderful thing to see in restaurants of this day and time. An adult version, perhaps, of Rachel's challenge are PT for Kindness. I've been meeting with that organization and with those folks, and again, they adhere to the challenges of Rachel's challenge about kindness, acceptance, about goal setting, and how can we make all of Peters Township just really an ideal place to live. It's already a great place to be. A month ago, I was at our, what was it, the State of the Township address given by our township manager, Paul, and our superintendent of the schools, and heard some of the new things that are going on in Peters Township. The building that's going on is just incredible. The new high school, of course, is just is going to be I go past that almost every day, and what a state-of-the-art, just a wonderful place it's going to be to continue to educate our children and youth for tomorrow. So we've got a lot to be proud of. And what I heard that day is Peters Township is number 1 in scholastic scores in the state of Pennsylvania. That's what I thought I heard, and so we have a lot to be proud of. And that's not only the only number 1. We've got a fantastic sports organizations. What was it? The women's basketball was number 1 this year. Was there another one? Another organization? Okay, yeah. Basketball was number 1, and I thought I read there was another one there somewhere, another team, perhaps. Okay, well, look it up. That's for sure. But it's just what a joy it is to be in this part of western Pennsylvania. You know, you see all the difficult weather that's going on throughout our country, and how blessed we have been so far this spring and summer to be not be affected tremendously by heavy winds or heavy rains. But when we are, we do as neighbors stand ready to help. 2 years ago, we had some severe flooding down in our village of Venetia, and we had a group right from the village there, right from Wright's Church, put together a work team and do some flood relief there, right along Peters Creek that flows through the village there with some heavy waters. One of the neat stories about that, the Olenics that run a greenhouse there behind the railroad, just great folks. Their cows actually physically washed away. I think they had 5 cows that washed away. All 5 of them were found unharmed, and they all got them all back and got to put them back to the pasture that had now been washed out. But when those things happen, even Wright's Church, where we're at, you can go to our website, wrightsumc.com, and see how it is to make flood buckets, which we are gathering all the time as the United Methodist Church, and also just as trying to do the right thing for our folks in our township, in our state, and across the country. Cleaning buckets are what we're calling them now. You can go to see the recipe there. If you'd like to make one of them, they're about $60 to prepare, to put all the things in there at the certain recipe there is. In other words, there's plastic gloves, there's detergent, just that amount of detergent to put in a 5-gallon bucket, put a lid on it, and if you assemble those things according to the recipe, you could bring them to Historic Wright's Church, to any one of our concerts, or just drop them off at the front door, and we'll make sure they get to UMCOR, United Methodist Committee on Relief, and we'll send it throughout the country. We have 3 warehouses here in the United States. One happens to be Eastbrook Mission Barn up in Mercer County, that we keep flood buckets all the time up there, ready to send out to all of our neighbors across the country. We used to send them across the world, but it got cost prohibitive to send things when you could actually send monetary gifts easier than you could send buckets, put them in a boat or a plane and send them there. But Rich Roberts for Village of Venetia, come visit us in the summertime, whether it's Historic Wright's Church, for our brown bag concerts every Wednesday, starting June the 5th, with live music, a $5 lunch in air-conditioned comfort, and you'll just enjoy that. On the 12th, it's the Children of Eden cast doing a concert. On the 19th, Julie Wright will be here, and on the 26th, Jamie Wright. So that's just part of the entertainment, part of the fun that's going on in the village of Venetia. Just one last quote from Mr. Rogers: "Compassion is the greatest form of love humans have to offer to each other." So I wish you all the best for this summer, and God's blessing in your life. Thanks so much.